All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. We're going to go into some detail today on the convention and a lot more detail day by day. Yesterday, you should have received this timeline and filled in the five that were blank. So I'm just checking completion. Did you add that? So your timeline should look something like this. All right. So I want to kind of, if we were in the classroom, this would be run a little bit different. We would have did it as a simulation, and we kind of would have went through. You would have been a delegate, and we would have kind of been working through the convention day by day, and even had a chance to vote on some of these resolutions, things that we're going through. But unfortunately, we're doing remote learning. So the plan is I'm going to today just kind of give you a little bit more detail about some of the important days that you put on the timeline yesterday. Okay. All right. As you know, that they arrive into Philadelphia, and the talk was to fix the Articles of Confederation. And of course, they completely get rid of that document. As you know, our government today is nothing like the Articles of Confederation. It's almost exactly like what happens in 1787. So this spring and summer of 1787, what they get accomplished is pretty much how our government is run today. From the three branches of government, the powers, the control that they have, the checks and balances, the fact that how old you have to be in a position, that was all done in 1787. It's remarkable that what they created then is still used today. It's the oldest constitution in existence today. And it's remarkable that it's only been changed 27 times with the amendments to the Constitution. All right. So day by day. So what's so important? They all show up, or not everyone shows up, as you see. Only 8 delegates are present on May 14th. So we officially don't begin the convention until May 25th. They get enough delegates and they can actually start, and it's official on May 25th. So a lot of times you see May 25th to September 17th when it's officially read aloud and signed by 39 of the delegates. Okay, so let's take a look at some important features, important events, dates that are going on. May 29th is an important date because they set the ground rules. What are we going to be doing? And they take an oath of secrecy that they're not allowed to talk about what's happening there. They don't want people in the public to be panicked about changes or new document. So they don't let anyone know, and it's done in secrecy. And, this is 18th century. It's a lot easier without, the internet and phones and all that to be able to do that. But still, they really had to be pretty strict about not letting other people know what was going on in Philadelphia during the convention, known as the Philadelphia Convention, and later on called the Constitutional Convention. All right, so May 29th, so they set the groundwork, and the Virginia Plan gets introduced. Virginia Plan written by James Madison. It's all done before they even show up. He's ready. He's prepared to write a whole new document, and it's read aloud by Edmund Randolph. And then they start debating. If you look at this timeline, May 30th, they start voting on resolution 611. That would be represented by 6 states said yes, agreed to it. 1 said no, 1 abstained, 1 didn't vote. And then we also have people that was divided. New York was divided on that one. By May 31st, they decide on a bicameral legislature. So if you remember from the Articles of Confederation, we had 1 governing body that was in Congress. Now they're going to have 2 according to the Virginia Plan. And so these are just things that they start looking at, June 2nd. John Dickinson, we remember some John Dickinson from the John Adams series. He's going to motion that the executive branch have some type of subject to impeachment. So if they do something illegal, that they can be removed from office. So these things that are in our government today are all just kind of debated, discussed, voted on, and eventually it works its way into this great document of the U.S. Constitution. Again, you see that they're not all agreeing on everything, 7-3, 8-2. And so they're kind of voting back and forth on those 15 resolutions that were part of the Virginia Plan. And we get to June 14th. And New Jersey and some of the smaller states, Delaware, are looking at it and saying, whoa, let's hold up here. We really don't agree to this type of document. We're not having a major say for smaller states. Let's stop the process and let's kind of figure out something new. So William Patterson of New Jersey is going to introduce the small states plan, which is the New Jersey plan. So 9 resolutions. and the next day. So they stop what they're doing on the Virginia plan and they start looking at the New Jersey plan. And that would be June 15th. And you got to remember, 12 states are there at this point, and Rhode Island's not there. So 13 of the 13 states that we have, part of the United States, 12 of them are there. Hamilton also, so Alexander Hamilton's going to introduce an even different plan, sketches a very strong central government. So there's a lot of things happening that it's not just like, oh, hey, we did this, and then we voted, and it worked out, and now we have this document. There was a lot of debating, and eventually we'll see a lot of compromising to it. If we kind of move along, so debating on, the two houses, what are we going to do with those two houses? Is it going to be equal representation like the New Jersey plan? Is it going to be proportional representation based on population like the Virginia plan? And a lot of different things are being discussed, like what's the role? How do we elect them? How old do you have to be? So these are things even today. So you have to be 30 years or older to be a senator. That was done in 1787. They agreed upon it then. I'm going to kind of scroll through. They postpone, they delay, more people show up. Eventually, we have 55 delegates in all that are here. And we get to July 11th. I'm going to make it to the next date. So July 11th. And we kind of see what else is going to be looked at. So they're looking at population, and they start thinking about, well, African Americans, and especially those that are in slavery, do we count them? And as terrible as it is, they're going to vote on and count them as 3/5 of a person to be totaled in the population. They talk about pushing off the slave trade until 1808. These are things that are being debated, but they don't abolish slavery, so they don't get rid of slavery. They don't count African American slaves as one person, as an equal person. They count them as 3/5 of a person for the population, as terrible as that is. So July 16th, we're going to get to. That's a very important date. And we're basically going to see the New Jersey plan, the Virginia plan come together as one in the Great Compromise or the Connecticut Compromise. And basically, this is when it gets introduced. And with the legislative branch, we're going to have two houses, so bicameral. And we're going to see one is going to be equal representation. One is going to be based on population like it is today. The Senate, so we have 2 senators per state. And we have the House of Representatives where it's based on population. The larger states have more representatives in the House than some of the smaller states. And so we'll kind of move along some things that they're debating, looking at requirements and talking about an executive veto. So the fact that the legislative branch can override that with 2/3, that's decided on July 18th, 1787. And that's something that's still a major part of our government today, that the fact that the legislative branch with a majority vote can pass bills. It goes to the president, so it goes to the executive branch. The executive branch can veto that, and then they can override it with a 2/3 majority in both houses. This is being worked at, all these different things being worked at through the convention. And I'm going to get to August 7th. So as they've kind of agreed on and voted on all these different things, they now start preparing to write the actual document. So the preamble, so the we the people and what the document's all about, Articles 1, 2, and 3. So Article 1 about the legislative branch, Article 2 about the executive branch, and Article 3 about the judicial branch, as well as part of Article 4. And they're going to look through, all right, so how many members, what are the qualifications, and they start putting it down into writing. And they're on these committees kind of looking at it and ironing through what it's, what the document should be and how our government should be structured. We get to August 16th, where it talks about what is Congress's major role. So let's put that in the document. Okay, they can collect taxes, they can regulate trade. They're the ones that are going to create and coin money. That is going to be the role of the legislative branch in our government. Adding post office and the idea of federal roads, that's going to go through the legislative branch. And after all of this, we're going to eventually get to them saying, hey, we got 3 branches of government. This is what the executive branch is. This is the powers that are included. This is how old you have to be. These are the ways that they check other branches of government. The same thing, the legislative branch, we have 2 houses. This is what their powers are. This is what they're allowed to do. This is how they check the other 2 branches. And this is the qualifications to be a member of each of those houses, each of those legislatures. And same thing with the Article 3 with the judicial branch, Supreme Court. This is the role of the Supreme Court. And eventually we kind of see all the way to September 7th, where we get to the qualifications to be president. That's where they actually put in you have to be 35 years or older, and 14 years state resident, 14 years resident, and you have to be a natural born citizen. They put that in there. That's something they did in 1787 that still exists today. All of this, again, only changed 27 times. What's the power of the executive branch? These are all things that are included in there. Making treaties with foreign countries, being able to appoint their own ambassadors. And through it all, they create this magnificent document, despite having many faults, not including women really, the idea that the word men is being used, not addressing the issue of slavery during this time. They put it off. They put the slave trade off till 1808. They count African-American slaves as 3/5 of a person. So these are all the problems with it. But they do a miraculous thing by creating a document that we still use today. And on September 17th, they're all going to go and sign off on this document, 39 members. A few members that are there, delegates that are there, decide not to vote on it. So George Mason, Edmund Randolph, who actually introduced the Virginia Plan, Elbridge Gerry, is not going to sign the document. So those three are really three important people that are there that don't sign it at the end because they believe that there needs to be some type of Bill of Rights, some type of freedom for the people, to protect the people from the government. And we're going to see a few years coming up that the Bill of Rights is going to be put in our first 10 amendments with providing protection for the American people will be included. And that's kind of the rundown. So from, May 14th, people showing up, May 25th, it officially beginning, and they debate and discuss and vote on all these things all the way through to September 17th, where we eventually have our U.S. Constitution and the Constitution that most countries in the world are going to, most democratic countries in the world are going to use and create and develop off of. And it's remarkable. The powers of those three branches still exist today. The qualifications still exist, the checks and balances, all this that is done at this time. It's really important to kind of understand 1787 in 2020, we're still using the same exact things. So it's pretty remarkable, the foresight that they had in creating this document. All right, that's a rundown of the Constitutional Convention. I wish you guys a great weekend, and all you have to do is you're going to see is sign up for the escape room for the following Friday. Our virtual escape room, we're going to do it with Mr. Mulvey's class and Mr. Ravel's class, groups of up to 4 on that document, and that is it for today for the written piece. All right, I wish you guys well and look forward to a really good week next week with delegates and finishing up the convention with ending with a cool virtual escape room that everyone's going to complete at the same time. Hopefully that you guys log on at the same time and compete against each other of who can get it done the quickest. Okay. All right. Enjoy the weekend. I'll talk to you.